Vi är hier Wennes Pistech, Apple WWDC 2020 keynote. Now Verge did a very nice compilation, 18 minutes. I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch the whole of it, but I just want to react to some of the new things in iOS 14 and the latest iPadOS. So without any further ado, let's just see and enjoy.
Good morning and welcome to WWDC. It's here that we bring some of our biggest innovations to life. To start, I want to address the topic of racism, inequality, and injustice, and to recognize that something important is a need.
App library. Great.
Today, we're going to push each of our platforms forward in some exciting and breakthrough ways.
So let's get started with iOS.
Air, this guy is very nice. They call him the Air Force One. But okay, let's start with iOS.
Our new release is iOS 14. Wouldn't it be great if there were a way to organize all of those apps without doing a thing? Well, this year we're doing just that with something called the App Library.
The App Library. Okay, that's so fun and that's so nice. Basically, you already probably are aware about the latest changes. But Apple are pushing things further away with this release, right? So we have now here this App Library.
Up at the top, I have the search field, and I get all my apps organized from A to Z. Now, over here on the upper left, I have suggestions. It uses on-device intelligence to
it's so nice to see that one, guys. And apparently one of the biggest topics is going to be presented in a few seconds, but we know it's widgets. But even this, like Apple going really after something that people that are not using, of course, iPhones or iPads. These things exist since a long time in most of the Android phones in the custom launchers. So I'm very, very happy to see Apple taking part of that functionality and easiness of use and putting it into the iPhone. I think it's really going to be like a giant leap for everybody that uses the iPhone. And don't get me wrong, I am actually using iPhones since the very first iPhone. Indeed, I still own, even to this day, the original iPhone 2G.
Show me the apps that I'm likely to need next. And on the right is recently added.
I kind of like the view, and I will let you know why, guys, because it really seems very uniform. Everything that Apple are doing, you pretty much know that they are not doing, how would I say, like any unnecessary moves. So everything is really very much thought on, and I think they have a very good spot on here. So this looks very nice. This app library, I think, is a very welcome change, putting a little bit more control in the hands of the iPhone user. And the iPhone user is not like a typical Android user, or let's say typical nerd. People that watch my channel probably are more like typical nerds, flashing ROMs, rooting phones, playing with custom kernels. Like normal users will not do that, right? But even the normal users enjoying Android phones are used already to launchers, to app suggestions. So even, for example, if I take the OnePlus and the Oxygen OS, it's very fun how you can just take the phone and just show all the games or show all the media apps. So I think that's really a huge step ahead.
And below are intelligently curated categories. Next, let's turn to widgets.
Okay, yeah. Guys, I just want to share some statistics about that. Now, apparently widgets is not a huge thing, right, in the Android world. But if we just put in one sentence, Apple, iPhone, iOS, and widget, and 2020, yeah, indeed, that's big news. Widgets have been around since a long time, and in fact, one of the first time I've started to use widgets was 16 years ago, 16 years ago, while I was using WinCE devices. And again, I'm not really sure how many of you were around, because again, I'm an old person, but widgets have been around since many years right now, and we are so much used to that. And, by just seeing Apple putting these finally, on the iOS, in the iPhone, before they only existed in one particular screen, right now having them, on the iPhone in somewhere of the main screens, I think is a very welcome addition. And I'll call this even a giant leap. And for me, the way I see things, really, one of the biggest leaps or changes we saw was when iOS was changing the design from the skeuomorphic system design, where like you have the wood and then you have the metal and all this 3D, to the very flat design that Johnny Ive produced, I think in iOS 7. Somebody mistaken, if somebody thinks I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. But I think this was the point where Johnny Ive kind of like took the Windows phone design, or embraced the Windows phone design, and they went really flat. And I think now this widget, so 7 versions or iterations later on the iOS, these widgets are really a big thing. Again, Not for the Android people, not for the people using not iPhone phones, but the people that are going to use iPhones or do use iPhones. I think that's we can call it a giant leap.
To start, they're more beautiful and
Wow.
data rich.
Okay,
And we're
cool.
introducing different sizes, so you can
Yeah.
choose one that best fits your needs.
And you know, this kind of looks like they taken some things. You know, they have the Watch OS. They use this to power on the Apple Watches. So to me, it feels and it looks like they took and erased something from the Watch OS and just put it into the iOS.
So check this out. I'm just going to tap and hold on the weather widget, and I can drag it out of Today View
Oh, okay,
and
nice.
onto my home screen.
That's not bad, but guys, I have a feeling you are not able to move this around just like freely the way you can do on an Android. But again, that's not the sake of the video. I'm just reacting now to WWDC 20. So again, very welcome addition here. You can apparently drag widgets now from the screen to the home screen, but you cannot just put them wherever you want. There is this like very traditional Apple grid, you know, and you can probably just put it, like an icon, but not, you know, just where you want. And this makes sense because, you know, you still have widgets, but then at the end, Apple or iOS has like the control still of the way your phone is going to look like. And actually, there is something very, very good in that one because it means less clutter. It means less chaos and it's more organized. And we cannot say that the Android phones are organized. And you know what I mean here. Resizing widget and widget over widget, so it can get really messy.
And watch as I move it around, the apps just dance out of the way to make space for my new widget. The gallery is a great place to explore widgets. Now, when I tap on one, I can actually page through all of the different sizes available. With the Smart Stack, I can easily swipe through widgets to pick just the one I want.
You know, it's a. Don't get me wrong. I'm really happy. I'm really happy because I'm a big fan of Apple. You know, it's a company, and not to sound like a fanboy, but I've been using Apple since Apple II, and yeah, I don't want to even mention the year, but I've been always, you know, using Apple products. My wife is now completely in the Apple ecosystem almost. I had an iPhone myself up to version 8 Plus, where at some point I said, listen, they're becoming too big. I cannot carry two phones anymore. And of course, I embraced 100% and fully Android. And specifically for me, the change was really Google Camera because that was really very, 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 I think, a very big leap into smartphone photography. And you know all about pics. I'm really about that. But here, you know, I'm just happy to see finally Apple doing something like this. It might look too simplified, but you know, there is like pros and cons. So definitely the pros is that you can have widgets. The cons is that you cannot control 100%. But again, here there is also the pros that your screen is not going to look so messy. In Android, you can drag around, you can drop it, you can resize it, and you know what I mean here. They are giving you something, but again, they are limiting you in the ways you can use it, and that's not necessarily bad if you're an iPhone user again.
For the moment. But what's really cool is that the Smart Stack can actually do this for me automatically. So in the morning, I can get my news briefing. Throughout the day, find out when I have a meeting coming up. And in the evening, I might get a summary of my activity for the day. Next,
provided of course you have the Apple Watch, I guess. You know, that's not bad. Again, it is not something you know, groundbreaking for the industry, but it is a giant leap for the way iPhones operate, right? We never had that in an iOS before, right? So I think, speaking only about Apple, yes, good job, guys.
we're also bringing picture-in-picture to iPhone.
Picture in picture. Wow.
So you can access apps on your iPhone while watching video or talking on a FaceTime.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah, this is like, is it like Christmas or what? No, it's not, because this feels definitely like Christmas. Again, not groundbreaking for the industry, but really radically changing the way iPhone users can use their phone. All right, and I have something to say, but I'll keep this at the end of the video, so don't close the video right now. I'm just going to say something that I believe is very important for the whole strategy of Apple for this year, and this has to do also something with Android, so don't skip that. Just wait until the end of the video.
Call. Now check this out. When I swipe to go home,
Oh,
the video
wow.
automatically goes into picture-in-picture
Finally.
right over the home
Finally.
screen. And when I
Finally.
launch another app, like Notes, I
This
can
is really
keep
great.
watching. Now I can drag the picture to
Yeah.
another part of the
Oh,
screen.
that's great. That's
if I
great,
want to make
really.
it bigger, I can even pinch to zoom.
You know, why I'm saying is great. Apple are notoriously known for doing things the right way, right? So if they decide to do something, they will not do it in the most fancy way, but you know it's going to work. So when Apple is doing this, I have the feeling that they're gonna nail it. Of course, I need to test this. I'm just curious right now to see, can you do this also with YouTube, right? This will be interesting.
And as I move between applications, it stays with me.
Yeah,
and what's
good.
cool is I can also swipe it to the side,
No,
and
that's
the
good.
audio
I
keeps
like that one.
playing when it's off screen.
Oh,
Another
okay, you see, that's very important. The audio keep playing while. Okay, yeah, okay. Now that's really great. There was some apps on the iOS that you can do to play videos in the background from YouTube, which you cannot pretty much do it like a regular YouTube app. On the Samsung One UI, you can do this because you can like put it on a pop-up, or let's say on the Oxygen OS or MIUI, you can split your screen and do it in that way. All right, but it's probably even bigger than widgets, this functionality. I think really allowing people to have a little bit more control on their devices. And listen, it makes sense because iPhones are not cheap, right? They're not cheap. Or maybe they are, right? Okay, wait until the end where I make, my general statement.
iconic experience that's getting a major update is Siri.
Siri.
So
all right.
this year,
Let's see what
we
Siri can do.
completely redesigned the Siri experience with a
Interesting.
new compact design. Siri pops up at the bottom of the screen and instantly launches the app. Or if you ask for information, like the weather, results appear at the top of the screen, just like a notification.
Siri's always been great for getting
I don't know really how much people are using Siri or even Google and or Alexa, etc. I'm not a person that the only thing I'm using, for example, Google, is just when I'm listening to my headphones and just tap them and just say call my wife. All right.
information.
I can probably skip through
Language
that
spoken.
part.
Files to let you reflect your hobby directly to a specific message.
Yeah.
For the first time ever,
Exploring cities are running. We're also interested
Yeah,
in
okay.
this plate number on their iPhone.
And the very first car to support this will be the new
Of an app. It's light and fast and easy to discover. It's
What
a
was it?
small part of an
App
app.
clips.
It's
What?
light and fast and easy to discover.
Like a preview
So you
or
can
what?
quickly get what you need right when you need it. They start with this card, which quickly pops up, and with just a tap, you can launch the app clip. The best way to discover app clips will be with a new Apple-designed app clip code. So when you see one, you'll know that there's an app clip waiting for you.
It's like a preview of an application. Yeah, I don't get this. Not bad at all.
They incorporate both a visual code and NFC. So you tap on them or scan them.
Well, good side, yeah, users are going to enjoy it. Bad side, developers will need to now work on these app clips if they need to up their game. We kind of had, again, nothing really groundbreaking, guys, for the industry as a whole, but very important the way Apple decides to a little bit empower users. So I think that's generally very much appreciated by myself, especially, right?
With the camera to bring up an app clip. And that's iOS 14.
Let's take a look at some of the enhancements to iPadOS.
Okay, guys, I'm just going to do now the iPadOS, and I'm probably not sure if I'm going to do the rest of the videos. I'm not.
First thing that you'll notice are the same redesigned widgets that you saw in iOS 14. And this year, we're making it even easier to browse and organize your photos with an all-new sidebar. With just a
sidebar.
tap of this button, I can reveal the sidebar with all the core functionality of the app in a single location.
Honestly, I'm a fan of the Google. I use Picasa and then I use Google Photos, so it's not really interesting for me. I'm just gonna skip through that one, guys. Handwriting, WatchOS. Okay, guys, I will just call it a day because for me, the pretty much interesting part was really reviewing the changes on the iOS 14, not so much the iPadOS. Okay, and I told you, if you waited really until the end of the video now, why is this becoming important, guys? And I'll let you know why.
Morning.
Because at some point we need to understand that there are like several things, guys. So first, Apple, produced the iPhone as it is here, which is a very small, compact phone with a not so great battery, with let's say an average camera, but with the latest chip. Okay. Now we know that there is a big demand from the users to have like a compact size phone that you can just hand in one hand, right? You can have it in one hand. So Apple nailed it down. Now they're putting widgets on the home screen and more stuff and picture-in-picture and app library and all of this just means that they're trying to Googleize themselves. And that's funny because I always say like OnePlus is Xiaomifying themselves, and Apple is trying to Googlefy themselves. On the other hand, Google is trying to copy Apple, and it's all fine, right? And what is interesting is that they're putting more things into the phone, so people probably will buy more iPhones. And then apparently Google was copying Apple, and Apple was copying Google, and Xiaomi copied Apple, and OnePlus copied German, vice versa. And now I'm really curious to see what is next. After everybody copied everybody, somebody will need to start innovate. So these things are very good for the smartphone industry because they will push innovation ahead. All right. So I'm really happy with what I saw right now. I am eager to install iOS 14. I'm not sure, my wife will not allow me to enroll her phone into the beta program. But if you have an iPhone, guys, go for the beta. If there is a beta, download it. I think iOS 14 is going to be a really very much awaited and interesting upgrade. All right. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. And with that said, VST over and bye. And don't forget to subscribe.